It's a bit of a frustration I'm seeing from people that assume everybody else has it easier to success. Success doesn't take like all the effort. It just takes the right one or two things. And I think we as a society and as people need to understand that there's a lot more to be done. There are a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of responsibilities. My name is Murphy Cheatham and I started the Murphy Cheatham podcast, frankly, because I've learned a lot in business and commercial real estate. And I've run across a lot of people that have huge misconceptions and that have a lot of talent and frankly have no idea what's ahead of them. I've had experience in commercial real estate from a sales agent to a lender to a consultant to a real estate developer to an executive to a government official. And there are things that are constant throughout and there are things that are widely different across the whole way. So the reason why I started this podcast is because I see a lot of people that have a lot of opinions who have never walked in these shoes, and they're really not giving people the real behind what it takes to be successful. Yes, you could have degrees, you could know all the pro formas, the budgets, have all the jargon, but success takes time, and frankly, it takes a lot of patience, failures, setbacks, sometimes being embarrassed, and then win. And then once you do win, realize that the next day you got to start it all over again. So that's why I started it. That's why I'm here. I want you all to come along this journey with me. Hopefully you learn something. Hopefully it sets up things. One thing that's a huge misconception is that things just don't take time. That you could have a degree, you could have a certification, you can have a relationship or a conversation and instantly be successful. This takes time and years. All right, so who am I? Who's Murphy Cheatham? Well, I wouldn't start with me. I started actually with my parents. My parents are from rural country, Louisiana. All my cousins, y'all could be mad at me, but you know y'all country. My dad is from Leesville, Louisiana, actually Fisher, and they moved to the big town of Leesville. My mom's from Ringgold, Louisiana, like Gold Ring, but the opposite, Ringgold, Louisiana. Shout out to my Aunt Evelyn, who's still there. They met at Grambling State University. Like I tell a lot of people, if you're black and in California, your family's from Louisiana, Arkansas, or Mississippi. And really, that's where my family's from, is Louisiana. My dad's the youngest of 10 kids. Half of them moved to SoCal. The other half moved to NorCal. Moved to the Bay. Born in Oakland, raised in Fremont. Grew up in the Bay Area. Loved it. One of the most diverse areas. I didn't know that, right? So my high school had 19 nationalities and 9 different languages. I thought that was normal. Lo and behold, I graduated high school. My mom said, okay, you can either go to Grambling or go to the military. My dad was an Army vet, so that was an easy choice. I took myself to Grambling. Now, a lot of my friends stayed back, went to JUCO, D1. That was my initial plan, but I went to Grambling State University. Best decision ever made for me. That was the first time I saw like black excellence in education and a full society thriving and moving forward with one goal, which was to matriculate and go into the world. Got my bachelor's in accounting from there. From there, I had job offers in Dallas. I interned for State Farm. I had a job offer at State Farm, a job offer for the CIA, believe it or not, an offer from a company in Florida, and then a job offer from Men's Warehouse back in the Bay Area. Oh, and another job offer in Arizona. So it was funny because my mom said, well, after you get done trying to play ball or what have you, you could come back and stay with us and work until you get on your feet. It was in the Bay Area at the time. I was getting offered like $90,000 a year, and I was offered roughly $40,000 in Phoenix. And I said, well, what it costs to be in the Bay, I'll never get on my feet. And I wasn't about to move back home. So I was in Phoenix, got started in accounting, worked my way up, found real estate by default. I was working for KB Home, had no idea about the real estate industry whatsoever. Understood their programming, understood how they made decisions, and that really brought me back to when I was in junior high school. My very first real estate question was to my dad. We were going to a Warriors game, and we're getting off 880 freeway. There was the Coliseum was to the right, and for those of you all still on the Bay, you recognize it was about an 8-story black and white level building. And I remember asking my dad, who decides where the freeway is here, the Coliseum is there, and that office building is over there? And when I was like, I don't know, some rich people, I'm trying to find parking. And that was my very first question about real estate. So understanding that versus then where I was in understanding real estate, working for KB Home as an accountant, it was opened up a whole new world that I just assumed just happened. From there, I worked for a smaller real estate development company in North Scottsdale. And then I moved to work for a house savings bank as a lender, and I was a registered licensed real estate agent. In Arizona at the time, you could do both. And I remember being a loan officer at a house savings bank. I was the number 3 loan officer in the entire nation, number 1 west of the Mississippi. And a friend of mine who I worked with at KB Home walks by my desk going to the elevator. And I said, hey man, his name is Anthony Jennings. I said, hey, Anthony, man, what are you doing here? Good seeing you. He was like, oh, going to go see my uncle. He owns the building. Those of you all in Phoenix, it's Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, the office tower next to the Neiman Marcus. So I said, oh, no, y'all don't. The bank owns the building. It's our name outside of it. And he said, nah. He laughs. He's like, no, the bank doesn't own it. Y'all are tenants, just like how when I rent out houses. And that blew my mind. I didn't know that corporations lease out space. I thought when you drive down the road, every corporation owns the building that their name is on side of, right? What I've learned, and I really learned this from my dad. I remember being at my father's retirement party in 2003. My dad was an exec for State Farm. He ran the claims division for Northern California for State Farm. And we were at a restaurant in Emeryville overlooking the bay. And he got up, and there was all these people talking about everything that he had done for him, and they're going to miss him, and so on and so forth. And he got up, he was like, thanks, but I didn't do it alone. Someone looked out for me, and it was my job to look out for other people. No matter what they looked like, but if they were just good people, he just said he had a responsibility to look out for good people. And it might sound cheesy, right? Especially like if you're just starting out and you don't have much, like what can I offer? Or you see other people doing good and you know that like there's something that they're not all that they're pretending that they're like showing themselves to be. And it's tough to be a person of integrity at the time or look out for people and not expect anything back. But that's really been what I've lived on, whether I was the smartest person in the room or knew nothing, right? I always like to help out people that have taken the risk and the responsibility to go and do. And that is at the basis of my career. Every time my career has taken that next step, every time I got that next opportunity, it's because I helped somebody without expecting anything in return. And the only way you help somebody is you got to get to know them and be vulnerable enough to help them out and really understand what their responsibilities are. It's more than just making somebody money. I mean, yeah, that could be it. I advise my clients, like return of capital is more important than return on capital, but through everything with my dad, with family, with what have you, at the end of the day, I like to help out people that have taken the risk to do better and believe in themselves or better themselves in that same space, right? And whether that was me in Phoenix, started out with Ed Gorman in developing the gallery's attorney on 26th Street in Turney there, or whether that was me doing loans or going to my master's program or helping friends that had questions on real estate that I knew they weren't going to listen to me. But I just wanted to give them advice so they knew what to do, right? Or to make the jump from Arizona to Dallas. So I'm not going to lie. There are times I've been in Dallas where I regretted making that decision. But things have turned out to where that decision was good. It was beneficial. I'm still involved with people back in Arizona. Like a lot of that is what has made me, even in the tough times when it's been either embarrassing or at risk of losing it all or what have you, still being able to be there and be there for people that they bet on themselves and they have a goal. And if I know somebody that knows somebody that can help them, then I feel it as an obligation to help somebody, whether I get something out of it or not. I've had people extremely close to me tell me I'm stupid. Why would I do that? Why would I help people out if you're not going to get anything back? Especially in this capitalist society that we're in. But if people Look, everybody has responsibility. Everybody has fears. We're in a capitalist society. Everybody has to eat, a roof over their head. Some people got more money than others. No amount of money is ever enough. Something will always happen and it doesn't take care of your health, right? So if I can help somebody provide for their family or reach and achieve their goals, then I have an obligation to do it. And adopting that is good. Now, where I have messed up, where I've gotten greedy, forgotten that, and went after an opportunity that either didn't fit me or, frankly, God didn't tell me to go after. And I've had plenty of Jonah in the whale moments, and some that I legally can't even talk about, right? But I've had plenty of Jonah in the whale moments where God didn't tell me to do that. God didn't tell me to go there. And I went there, and those people were mad at me for even being there. I shouldn't have been there in the first place. But where God did tell me to go, where I helped people and didn't even think I would get anything back in return, that's when I benefited the most. That's how I currently am where I am, is helping out a friend who needed somebody to be a sales coach, right? When I'd accepted a position to move back to Arizona in 2022. But I'm here, and now I'm in a position that I've always wanted to be in. I just, frankly, had given up on it in the past. So I would say my superpower, if I have one, is being vulnerable and helping out people, whether it matters or not. Measure twice, cut once. That is something that my uncles told me as a young kid. I really didn't know what that meant. It was frankly brought back to me by a mentor of mine named Carlos McGee. I was at a smaller brokerage. I made a huge mistake in a pro forma. And frankly, I was distracted. I was trying to do too much at one time and made some really huge, simple mistakes. But I was going too fast just to prove that I could get something done as opposed to see if it was right. And the person who I sent it to called my mentor, who wasn't working at the company at the time, and was like, frankly, what is this? What is Murphy doing? And again, this is something embarrassing to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it. And I got a call from Carlos like, yo, what are you doing? You're better than this. I've seen you put together full development packages, full pro formas, full marketing plans, stuff about a step show and stuff around Grambling PV weekend. And so what's going on with this simple spreadsheet? And at the end of the day, I didn't take my time to see if what I was putting down made sense. I just typed it because I frankly took it for granted and sent it out without checking my own work. So measure twice and cutting once is making sure what you're doing makes sense. And that's not just in work, that's in life. I think a lot of people who just go throughout life doing what they think they're supposed to do, not having necessarily a North Star. So measure twice and cutting once, frankly, is about understanding that before you act. I think a lot of people right now, especially with our society, people want to hurry to make money and be successful, are in a rush to do something without actually thinking about what they're doing and why they're doing it, right? And if you do that, it saves you from having to do things over and over again, saves you from being misunderstood, saves you from being taken for granted, or frankly discounted, because you don't know what you're doing, who's going to see it, and where it's going to go. All right, so why now? It's funny. I've had all of these lessons and what have you, like in my spirit, if you want to call that. I have well over 60 episodes written out just from life lessons, especially my prior role in sales coaching. Um, but it's a bit of a frustration I'm seeing from people that assume everybody else has it easier to success, and success doesn't take like all the effort. It just takes the right one or two things. And I think we as a society and as people need to understand that there's a lot more to be done. There are a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of responsibilities, and a lot of my experiences can be shared because I get a lot of calls from a lot of people. I have a lot of mentees, and I'm mentored by people. And a lot of questions I get are stuff that I assume everybody knows, and I know what they say about assuming. But it's now it's just time to get things out to help people. Uh, there are a lot of people that are scared to make that next step, And there are a lot of people that have responsibilities that they don't know where to go from here. And as I said earlier, I feel like it's my responsibility to help people if they're going to make that next step, if they have an opportunity in front of them to help move forward. And frankly, there's more people that call me for advice than I have time to talk to, so this also helps out as well. All right, so what's next? What can you expect from this? Like, all this is great, right? But like, why are we watching you? Why should we watch and listen in the future? Well, I have a great lineup of guests who are coming in the next few episodes, from families that have sold franchises and are creating a whole new entity, to some professional athletes, to real multi-billion-dollar real estate developers, to people that have made a significant amount of wealth that you're like, I didn't even know that was possible, right? Have you ever wondered, like, how did somebody make money? How did somebody get involved in whatever, airports, franchises, what have you? I have all of those people coming up with a few panel discussions of some really impactful, powerful people. Some public people, some people you've seen on basketball courts and football fields, but you've never heard their story, seeing what they're doing next. So definitely tune in. You'll get to see our relationship, be involved in meetings and conversations that happen, that shape things for the next 10, 15 years, the next 2, 3 generations. So excited to have you on this journey with me, excited to open up this experience to you all so you all see how things really happen so you can apply it to your life. Thanks. Thank you for listening to the Murphy Cheatham podcast. If you found this information valuable, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow.